Hello, 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 hello. Hey, beautiful people. Hey there. How are we? How are we? How are we this evening? Welcome in, guys. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, Dean Raid. Welcome in, guys. We are getting ready to get started here. We're getting ready to get started with Late Nights with Santana. So if you are just joining, if you're just getting here, tap the screen. Tap the screen, share the live, send your daily heart. Me, it's only one coin. It will boost the live and help push us out to the FYP. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a moment. This is Late Nights with Santana. And if you are new to the stream, you're in for a treat. And the way that we always start off is like this.
This ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late nights with Santana. And Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights, truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams in the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pay, different cultures. But the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this the purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Yeah, late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. No highlight reel, just the soul's reflection. No shade throwing, just connection. From streetwise truths to deep reflections, we turn hard talks into blessings. They say they run a game, we build new rules.
Welcome in, everybody. Tap the screen, share the live, send your daily heart. Me, it's only one coin. It'll boost the live. This is a panel discussion, so get in the box.
No judgment, just motion. Real ones are talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this the purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this the purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Weekly topics, hearts wide open. No judgment, just motion. Real ones are talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights. Late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights.
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, guys. It is a wonderful, wonderful night. And guys, this is Late Nights with Santana. This is an amazing opportunity for each and every person to join the conversation. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and get in the box. Go ahead and request up. We're going to go ahead and get started here this evening. Late Nights with Santana. If you're not used to Late Nights with Santana, if you have not had the opportunity to experience Late Nights with Santana, it is a panel discussion where everyone has the opportunity to actually join the conversation. And tonight, the topic of our conversation, night 3 of the topic of our conversation is, do you see color? We are talking about multiple facets of that question. And specifically, we're breaking down race, ethnicity, nationality. We're also talking about white supremacy then and now, how it actually exists in our reality today. And hey, spoiler alert, Trump showed up and showed out when it came to white supremacy. But we're also talking about the growth and shrinking of the races. And last but not least, we are talking about dismantling racism. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and get in the box. Any and everyone is welcome. You do not have to be a quote unquote op to join the conversation. You just have to be willing to engage in the conversation. We're going to start getting people here in just a moment. But if you are someone that would like to support the live, you can do so by multiple ways, right? I'm going to keep resetting the daily gift goal to these little 1 cent gift goals. If we can continue to knock those out, it'll boost the live, push us out to the FYP. Send your daily heart me. Send your daily heart me. It's only 1 coin. That'll help boost the live as well. And last but not least, if you'd like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Pay links and links are in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. Everything's accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. That allows us to continue to host these lives here over on Late Nights. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and get people in. And as I bring people in, Swan, get up here, Swan. Hurry up. Get up here, Swan. As I get ready to bring people in, as I bring people into the conversation, please, please, please mute yourself. Please, please, please mute yourself. We're going to start bringing people in. And as we get people in for this conversation, please make sure that you actually mute yourself. Mute yourself. And then we're going to go around the horn and we're going to do some quick introductions. I said, please mute yourself. All right. All right. We are going to start with some quick introductions. And as we do these quick introductions, we will then get right into the conversation. Swan, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you, Santana?
Wonderful. Guys, for anyone who doesn't know, Swan is my co-host for this week. Swan has been the person that has been helping carry this live. And it's been a heck of a task. Swan has absolutely been amazing. So, guys, make sure you guys are showing Swan some love. Make sure that we are taking care of Swan. Make sure we're hitting her pay links. Make sure that we are gifting Swan, but also give Swan a follow. Swan, we have really been getting into it this weekend and tonight. I know you got a couple of things that you want to talk about, and we're going to take this in a couple of different directions. But Swan, I want to dig into white supremacy then and now. That's something I really want to make sure that we spend time on. What are your thoughts, and what are you excited to talk about this evening?
So I think I'm gonna just define it real quick, just to give like a simple definition to kind of like give people an understanding of what it is, if that's okay.
You got it.
It is the belief that white people are superior, that they should dominate in society, and that when that's carried out, it is always going to be to the detriment of non-white people. I think understanding white supremacy and how it's carried out and what that looks like is very different nowadays, where it's kind of less visible. You really would have to do your research to understand how it functions. And I also think that it's important we talk about the maintenance of the hierarchy that was created to uphold white supremacy. A lot of times we get into how it started, and then people kind of do this whole thing where they're like, well, that's in the past, but it's never ended. It's been maintained. And it's time we wake that up. Let's have that conversation about the maintenance of white supremacy and that hierarchy that upholds it. That's all I got for so far.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you, Swan. And guys, if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and get in the box. We are absolutely allowing each and every person who wants to join the conversation to get up here and join the conversation. You do not have to be someone that is a quote unquote opposition. You just have to be willing to actually engage in the conversation. Seems like we've scared off a couple of people because they didn't know what to expect and they don't think that they can hang. Interesting. Regardless, we're going to go ahead and continue to get additional people in. Again, if you are interested in joining this conversation, go ahead and get up here and we will have this conversation. I'm going to bring just a couple more people in and we're going to work on having this actual conversation. So I want to start with, is it Kai Kai? Or how do I, KY? How do I say your username? Kai Kai?
Sorry, it's Kai Kai.
Kai Kai, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
All right. Kai Kai, can you tell the people a couple of quick questions? What is your race, what is your understanding currently of white supremacy, and what are you hoping to get from this conversation this evening?
My race, I believe America acknowledges it now as Native Hawaiian, but it could also be considered a Pacific Islander. So, and as far as white supremacy, it's very prevalent today. It's always been prevalent, in my opinion, in America. It's definitely present here in Hawaii. It's not talked about as much, but it is. And as far as I've seen, it's been horrible in the past. I've seen a little bit of progression around Obama's time, and then I feel like it's getting worse again.
Okay.
Um,
And
yeah.
what are you hoping to bring to this conversation this evening?
I have a kind of unique take on this because I don't agree with white supremacy at all. It's horrible. It disenfranchised everyone except for white people. It just takes from everyone. And my experience as a Hawaiian with this is kind of similar. I'm not sure if you've looked into it.
Well, hold that thought, because I don't want to go too far. We're just doing quick introductions, but we will wrap into like deeper conversation. So you want to give a unique perspective that you think a lot of people haven't got. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, but okay. I do have some questions because I don't agree with it, but I just wanted to get some clarity because there's a lot of confusion around race, ethnicity, and then here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
blood quantum is a big
hold
thing.
tight for me, Kai. We will go over a couple of different things, but like I said, we don't want to go too far. We're just doing introductions at this moment. So give me a moment and I'll come back to you. Samantha, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful, Samantha. So really quick, just to verify, what is your race? What is your current understanding of white supremacy, and what are you hoping to get from this conversation this evening, or get or add to the conversation this evening?
I am Native American, Métis, but also like a little bit French. I actually don't have a huge understanding of like white supremacy. I know like the basics, so I guess I'm just trying to get more of a better understanding about it from the conversation.
Okay. And so just to verify, you French wouldn't be a race. So do you present as an indigenous person, or what exactly?
I mean, like, a lot of people look at me and they just think I'm white because my skin isn't as dark as most Native Americans would be.
Okay. And just to verify, I don't want to participate in any type of erasure, but I do want to make sure that I'm respecting indigenous people and the history of indigenous people. Just to verify, are you someone that's connected with your tribe?
No.
Okay. So I guess the only thing I would kind of say with that is I know there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of erasure that occurs with indigenous people when people who would say, they're indigenous but they're not connected. They're not connected with the tribe. They don't have like a band or anything like that. And so I do think that's a little bit dangerous, and we're hesitant on it. Swan, I would love to give you the floor for half a second and get your thoughts on it, because that's always a point that I try to make sure that I'm aware of and super cautious and careful of, because I do want to always remain respectful of indigenous people, but I never want to tell someone like, hey, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, Swan.
Yeah, so I have indigenous ancestry, right, via my grandfather, great grandfather. He's Taino, right, on the island of Puerto Rico, but I am not connected, right? So I will never claim to be indigenous because I'm not connected to like the culture and everything like that. Like that's definitely a process that can happen, but once that process is finalized, right, then you'd be introducing yourself in a very particular way. So for me, and also in addition to that, like not wanting to misrepresent an indigenous group of people, right? That's something that I think is really important to them, like specifically, like and like their language, their culture, their traditions, their spirituality. And I think the problem is that people have attempted to use that culture as theirs when they're not connected, and that ends up causing erasure, indigenous erasure, and it's really problematic. So, if you are not connected to a tribe, then the only thing that you'd be saying is that you have indigenous ancestry. Having indigenous ancestry is a lot different than being connected, and then there's also a difference between connecting and being connected as well. Because we know that there are some people that will be going through the process. But if they are not connected and recognized, then really the only thing that they can say is that they have indigenous ancestry, if that makes sense. There's
I mean,
also
like,
a
I
lot that
just,
goes into that, depending on like if you're like, for example, in the Caribbean, right? Or if you're in Mexico, or if you're in the United States, there's differences even with the process of different tribes in different places and how they go about it, if that makes sense.
I mean, like, I've just grown up my whole life. Like, when people say, like, are you indigenous? Yes, I'm Métis. I mean, my dad is connected with a band. I'm just not. Like, I have my status card. I also don't know if it matters that I'm Canadian.
Oh,
So
for
it
the
sounds like your
So, like,
dad's
conversation,
connected.
yeah, and also I was about to say for the conversation, no, but just being sensitive to our indigenous friends, and like I said, there's always worries about erasure and trying to misrepresent, and I just want to make sure that in my space we are always looking to protect indigenous people and the history of indigenous people. And so that's why I am like super cautious of that. But Swan, I'm sorry, you were saying about her dad.
Yeah, so it sounds like your dad is connected, but you are like not necessarily connected yourself, more so just like via your father.
yeah,
Did you say how you present yet? I'm sorry.
Métis.
No, like how
No,
you present
yeah,
like
Oh,
earlier she
phenotypically.
said most people would see her and just think that she's a white woman.
So white presenting.
yeah.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then that would be your racial category, be white presenting biracial person.
Okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to say, like, I apologize. Like, that was not my intention at all to,
No,
like,
no, 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 no. I don't think it was, and again, I'm not trying to actually negate who you are as a person or your family or anything like that. Like I said, I just like to make sure that I'm always mindful and respectful of indigenous people within my space. What we do here, especially because of everything that indigenous people have not only gone through but fight every day to ensure that they are properly represented and never misrepresented. So that's why I say that. Also, W's in the chat for the solid raid. What up, solid raid? What up, solid? Yeah. So okay, perfect. I don't want to take too long, but what are you hoping to? I know you said you don't have much of an understanding as far as white supremacy, but what are you hoping to have or get or bring to the conversation this evening?
I guess I'm just hoping to get like a better understanding of the white supremacy issues, and then also just kind of further my knowledge on it so that I can be more mindful of things around me, I guess.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Perfect. All right. One moment. Hey, Brittany.
Hey, Santana.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good, good, good. Brittany, can you tell the people what is your race? What is your current understanding of white supremacy? And what are you hoping to bring or bring or get from the conversation this evening?
Yeah, so I'm white. And my understanding of white supremacy is it's kind of like an iceberg or a whiteberg, as it were, where we as a society, most people only see the little bit that sticks up at the top that's really obvious, but that there's a enormous amount of it that's under the surface that's actually changing and affecting the entire area around it, not just the part we can see. And I'm hoping to kind of share some personal perspective of having grown up in a house where I was told we definitely weren't racist for my whole life growing up, and then having to unbox and pack and unpack just how much white supremacy was being furthered every day, and a ton of talking points that were just right out of the white supremacy playbook, and how you have to be aware of those even when you think you're not being a further of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great call out. Perfect. Thank you so much, Brittany. And last but not least, Carl, how are you?
Carol.
Carol.
Yes,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
doing okay.
Carol. I'm sorry. Carol.
How?
Carol, can you tell the people what is your race? What is your current understanding of white supremacy? And what are you hoping to bring or add to this conversation this evening?
Well, I'm black, and uh, I just find that racism, it's always existed for me in my area. And it's like it used to be covert, and now it's overt. It's like they were in the closet, and then all of a sudden they started coming out the closet because they would not ever dare behave racist to me while I was, in my spaces. They didn't dare behave racist around me. But now they do. It's like they opened up the door, and, they let you know that they're racist,
Yeah.
and they don't care.
Yeah, I definitely understand. I do think that there's a lot to be said about the overall willingness for people to come out and just actually engage in those different types of things. All right, perfect. 1 second here, Carol. 1 second. Let's see here. All right. We are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to get started here. A couple of quick things before we go too far. A couple of things that I want to remind people of. Just a quick conversation, and this is to ensure that we are able to have this conversation tonight. So a couple of quick things to remind people. First and foremost, while speaking, for the people on the panel, while having this conversation, please be mindful of TikTok-friendly language. What does that mean? That means that we are using words like pew pew, unalive, C19, mustache man, all of those types of things that will not only protect your TikTok, but it will protect the live. Also, I want to remind everyone that this is a safe and friendly community. What does that mean? That means that we don't deal with any of the isms, racism, sexism, classism. We also don't do any of the phobias, homophobia, transphobia, none of that. We don't play that on the panel nor in the chat. And speaking of the chat, guys, please remember, caps are for mods. Please do not use caps. They will draw my attention away from the panel and to the chat. And we want to be able to ensure that we are able to have this conversation. Last but not least, guys, continue to do all the wonderful things. We need everyone here to be active participants. And what does that look like? That looks like tapping the screen, sharing the live, sending your daily heart me. It's only 1 coin. It will boost the live and push us out to the FYP. Also, last but not least, if you guys enjoy what we do here, if you enjoy what we do in our space, please consider supporting live. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. And getting us started off right, guys, massive W's in the chat for Lindsay. Lindsay sent a $30 donation saying, been a minute, friend. Miss late nights. I hope you're good. I missed you, and we are wonderful. Thank you so much for that $30 donation, Lindsay. Guys, a million W's in the chat for Lindsay. A million W's in the chat for Lindsay. Also, guys, W's in the chat for Cousin Jesse. Cousin Jesse sent a $2 donation, said that Trump lied his behind off for an hour and 46 minutes waiting for someone to call him out. Yeah, that was a horrible State of the Union. But Donald Trump said a lot, and I promise you it's going to wrap into what we are talking about here this evening, because he exemplified a lot of the things that we are struggling with. W's in the chat for Cousin Jesse. All right. Again, if you are interested in actually joining the conversation, go ahead and request up. And we are going to rotate people in and out throughout the night and trying to ensure that we get as many people as possible in to have this conversation. So if you're in the request and you want to just hold tight, we're gonna go ahead and get people in here. All right, I want to start with somewhere specific when we talk about white supremacy, right? That's the point that I want to, or actually, really quick, Swan. You gave an amazing definition and information around uh, white supremacy, but I think I would be remiss if we didn't hit the difference between race, ethnicity, and nationality one more time for the people, just to make sure we have a great understanding. So, floor is yours.
Yeah, so race, the definition of race or what it is a superficial set of physical characteristics that a particular society would deem important, right? So this is going to come down to your phenotypical presentation, amongst other things. It's not just about like your phenotype. For example, I, as a Black woman, like some people think it's skin color, but I just want to make the clarification that it's not about skin color. I have, as a Black woman, have like dark brown skin, right? But there are also Asian people and indigenous people that have the same exact skin color that I have, but there are differences that would set us apart from each other racially. So it's just a superficial set of physical characteristics that society would deem important. That's race. Now, when we talk about your ethnicity, that's going to be like the particular area that you come from, your language, your culture, your traditions. That would be your ethnicity, right? And ethnicity has been around much longer than race has been around. So just keep that in mind too. And then nationality is going to be your country of origin. So wherever you were born, right? Like for example, a lot of people don't know this, but Lupita Nyong'o, she was actually born in Mexico, right? So that would be her nationality. Now, would that really be like her ancestry? Not necessarily, right? We know that, like, even in terms of like her ethnicity, she's Kenyan, right? But by nationality, she would be Mexican. So those are the differences between the three. So race is how you present, ethnicity is like your culture, your language, your traditions, and the nationality would be your country of origin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Swan. Swan, one more thing that I would love to hear from you is the fact that white supremacy, a lot of people think that white supremacy is a thing of the past, right? A lot of people have a misconception and they think that white supremacy was something that happened years and years ago. And, all of this is now behind us because we've had a Black president. And what can you as a Black person do what I can't do? And not understanding the impacts that white supremacy has, and not only when we talk about Black people, but just non-white people as a whole. Swan, can you spend just a few moments talking about the impacts of white supremacy when it comes to all people that are non-white and how it manifests in a couple of different ways today?
Absolutely. So I'll give the definition again for anybody that missed it in the beginning. White supremacy is the belief that white people are superior and should dominate in society. And when that's carried out, it's to the detriment of non white people. So that's the ideology. The first time we saw this carried out would be the transatlantic slave trade. That's how it originally began, right? But to bring it to today, and to give examples of how white supremacy is impacting people, then we could talk about, because this is something that negatively impacts all non-white people, white people too, but in a different way. Within our education system, and I'm going to tie that to the Heritage Foundation, there's an active agenda that the Heritage Foundation has had, and that is to erase the wrongdoings, right, that have taken place here in the United States, to minimize the experiences and the exploitation of people who are not white. And the problem with that is that, number one, we're not learning about the truth of, what our experiences are, and that's violent, right? Number two, we then end up catering to and still pedestalizing whiteness within our education system, which is problematic as well, right? A couple terms that I guess I could use to kind of describe this would be colonial or post-colonial or imperialist amnesia. And this is the active whitewashing and removing, right, of Black American history, of indigenous history, or the history of people that are Asian and the things that they've dealt with in society. And this, what this does is it creates I guess the ability for like nationalism to flourish, or the even like the harmful and the dangerous things that are tied to nationalism. like us living in a forced homogeneous society or homogeneous society, right? Like all of those things are very problematic. And I think that's one thing that we see within our education system. So to simplify what I just said, in schools, they want to do things like tell everyone that slavery was good for Black people because it taught them skills, when in reality, chattel slavery was a brutal form of exploitation perpetuated onto a group of people who were deemed subhuman and treated as such. And we still feel the impacts of that today. And to not talk about the truth about it, right? To eliminate that from history makes it more difficult to resolve these issues and the impact that they have onto non-white people today, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Swan, thank you for that, and thank you for breaking that down. So one thing that I want to actually make sure that I hammer home is the understanding that white supremacy is something that exists today, and it is something that will always show up in different ways, right? I want to play this this actual TikTok for you guys, and this occurred just a short while ago. Afterwards, I'm gonna give a little bit more feedback, and then we're gonna talk about it. I don't want to give too much context beforehand because I would like for everyone to kind of experience it in real time, similar to what I did, and I want to get the reaction behind what was actually said. So let me hop over here for a second. Let me get this on the screen for everyone over on YouTube and Twitch. Second here. And Swan, let me know if we start this and there's an echo similar to what happened last night. I want to make sure that we're not dealing with the same issue with the echo. So if you hear the echo once I start playing this, just come off mute and just let me know. All right, guys, I want everybody to hear this, and then we'll go ahead and respond to it.
Students on Friday. He delivers lessons and helps us fit those skills into our lessons.
Schools that like
This helps
they're
us
just
The echo's there.
to know they're in a bad
It is?
school.
Okay.
in our class.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Okay. All right. I think I know why. I think I know why. Hold on one second. I think I know why. Give me one second. Give me one moment. All right, we're going to try it like this, and Swan, let me know if you can hear it. I'm just going to play it off screen, and let me know if you can actually hear it, or if the sound doesn't come through
Students on
for you.
Friday. He delivers lessons
Okay.
and helps us fit those skills into our lessons.
schools that like
This helps
they're
us
just
Could you hear it playing?
I couldn't hear it on my main account, but I did hear it because I'm in here on my backup, so I had turned the volume down. I heard it on my main account, and there was no echo,
Okay.
but I didn't hear it on the panel.
Okay, you didn't hear. It's very faint. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right, we're gonna have to figure that out, but until we do, we're just gonna do it like this. All right, I'm just gonna play it from here. Sorry, guys, 1 second. We'll just play it from here.
on Friday. He delivers lessons and helps us fit those skills into our lessons.
schools that like they're too dumb to know they're in a bad school.
In our class.
I mean, apparently Martin Luther King said it. Like, if you train a Black person well enough, they'll know to use the back. You don't have to tell them anymore. They just
Allison Friedman, what you're saying is absolutely hearable here. You gotta stop.
So just an FYI, Just an FYI. The actual video didn't stop. Everyone just stopped talking. And I do want to give a warning that like it's I'll set the stage and we'll listen to it one more time. So there was a Zoom meeting of a college professor and a couple of different people. And while someone was actually speaking, one of the college professors did not know that they weren't on mute, and they said what they said. So I'm going to play it back one more time, and then we're going to talk about it.
Friday. He delivers lessons and helps us fit those skills into our lessons. Schools that like they're too dumb to know they're in a bad school. In our class. I mean, apparently Martin Luther King said it. Like if you train a Black person well enough, they'll know to use the back. You don't have to tell them anymore. They just
Allison Friedman, what you're saying is absolutely hearable here. You gotta stop.
All right. So just to kind of give a little bit more feedback, this was a professor at Hunter College. It's a Hunter College to review the. They said they're going to review the professor's abhorrent remarks at a meeting. And for anyone that did not hear what was said, and I will say that there was absolutely ableism that occurred, and then also leaning into racist remark, they said that while talking about Black people, said that they are too DUMB to know that they are in a bad school, and then also said that basically speaking about a quote unquote quote from what she said, Martin Luther King Jr., that if you train a Black person and if you train them right, you'll never have to tell them that they have to enter through the back door. That's what was said. So I want to take a moment and start running through what happened. And I'm going to give my quick reactions. And what we saw and what happened was the actual existence of white supremacy within our education system, right? This is something where we had educators who are responsible for shaping the minds of young people, and we are allowing them to actually guide young people. They were literally on a meeting with students and said what they said. And that's the interesting part about people who engage in white supremacy and racism. They are literally entrusted with guiding people, guiding young people, and this is what they really feel about people. Swan, I'm going to give you the floor first to give your thoughts on that, and then we're going to go to the rest of the panel and have a little bit more of a conversation about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to be brutally honest. This individual attempted to use the words of Black activists, but was doing this in a very racist way, which I think is why I don't want to go too far ahead, but which is why I think they responded the way that they did. But it was problematic. I think that if they truly understood what it was that they were repeating, or if they thought they were repeating, then they would have kept the focus on white supremacy and racism being the problem. What it was they tokenized a Black activist's words incorrect and then used it incorrectly to just be racist. And that's what it was. It was blatant racism. We know that Yale has done studies on racial biases and how those have been exposed within classrooms. We know that there is definitely a separation in terms of what we're learning historically, and how United States history and European history, the whitewashed version, is always centered. In addition to so many other systemic issues, she literally just displayed the socialization and the conditioning of these racist systems. That's the reaction you get, is somebody that behaves and responds during a discussion like that. She wasn't engaged. She didn't know that she was off of mute. She was being racist 100%, point blank, period. She's going to attempt to use her emotions, right, which is a typical weapon that's used against non-white people, to make it seem as though she wasn't truly being problematic, but it was blatant racism. That's it. It is what it is. It was harmful, and she should be fired, and she should not be allowed to teach anymore at all, point blank, period, because she's a danger to young Black children or non-white children within our education system.
All right. All right. Thank you, Swan. Kai Kai, what were your thoughts from what you heard?
Honestly, it wasn't surprising to me. I mean, we kind of hear these things happening all the time behind our backs, and people act like it doesn't occur, and then kind of sweep it under the rug and make it like it's a one-off thing, or it's just like one bad apple. But it's a common occurrence with all minority groups, I feel. So it really wasn't shocking to me.
Okay. All right. All right. Perfect. One moment. Samantha, what were your thoughts on what you heard?
My thoughts were like, if she's willing to do that on a Zoom call, how is she treating her students in the classroom? Like, absolutely disgusting. Like, if she's willing to do that when she thinks nobody can hear her, what is she doing when there's no other adults present to keep these children safe?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. One moment. Carol, what about you? What were your thoughts? Oh, Carol, I'm gonna send you a request to come off mute. Guys, while we wait
Hello?
there we go.
Hello?
Hey, Carol.
I know it was racist, and whoever said it, they knew it was racist. They know what they were saying. It's no getting around that. And she should not be a teacher, but it's some more of that overt racism. And they go to the back room and say what they say, and they don't get called out on it. But growing up, when I observed it, I always would call it out. You know, it's like, I heard what you said and I know what you mean. And then they're all surprised and shocked because I know.
Yeah.
And so you can't get around it. It's just that, they try to cover it up as best they can, or do it, like she said, behind your back. But when it's out there, and nobody addressed it. Nobody say, hey, wait a minute, hold up. Do you realize what you're saying? And that's why it's persistent, because nobody addresses it when it occurs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, perfect. Thank you. One moment, Carol. I'm going to introduce the two new people on the panel, and we're going to see if we can get actual reaction from them as well. Jordan, how are you? Welcome back.
I'm good, Santana. How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. Jordan, can you tell the people what is your race? What is your current understanding of white supremacy? And what are you looking to either add or get from the conversation this evening?
Yeah, so I am Black. In terms of my understanding of white supremacy, I understand it as this very intricate system that it exists outside of the bounds of America. It exists globally, and it is within white supremacy. There are systems of racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, et cetera. All these things that work to actively marginalize people that don't fit this quote unquote ideal mold. And because it's so intricate, it makes up it is the very foundations of the system, that especially here in America. And because of that, it's not something that can be, it's not something that can be, just gone away in like one or two generations. It would take a complete destruction and rebuilding in order for it to be completely rooted out.
All right. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
And Jordan, did you get to hear the sound that I played?
I did. And I'm not gonna lie, it was triggering for a couple of reasons because I mean, and I'll be the first to acknowledge that like I have a lot of religious trauma that I'm still unpacking, but the whole concept of like training, especially when it comes to children, it definitely like triggered a lot of religious trauma in me because I heard a lot of that same rhetoric growing up in the church about training children and making them go a certain way. So it was definitely not very pleasant, and I especially found it like frustrating because I take education of children very seriously. I mean, I feel in my personal understanding, I feel like the reason why like our society has gotten to the place that it is now is due to a lack of education, a lack of access to material, a lack of truth telling when it comes to education. And so to see that it is definitely disheartening. Am I surprised? Not at all. Is it shameful? Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Jordan. And we have Midnight. Midnight, how are you?
Hello, I just gotta say you're the first person to ever get my name not call me Trippy Hippie or call me Trippy. You're the
Really?
first person that's he called me by my name.
Well, I saw that, but then also I clicked on the top and I saw Midnight. Listen, I'll take a win where I can get a win because anyone will tell you I'm horrible with names. Like literally the worst. Literally the worst. So I'll take it. All right.
If you got my name right.
Midnight, can you tell the people what is your race? What is your current understanding of white supremacy? And what are you hoping to add or bring to this conversation this evening?
I am Caucasian or white, whitey. And my current understanding of white supremacy is that it has always existed. It still currently exists, and it should not, because the active just the active form of hatred on anybody is just unnecessary, and we should all just learn to not treat people like trash just because they're different. It's not okay. And what I'm hoping to gain from this conversation is maybe a bit more understanding, as well as just having a good conversation and a worthwhile conversation.
Okay. Okay. All right. And did you get an opportunity to hear the video?
Yes, and I absolutely agree with, I don't know your name. Hold on. Just Jordan. Yeah, I absolutely agree with Jordan on the whole children thing. That's disgusting, but training, in my opinion, in general, you should just not use that word with anybody, because people are not animals. You don't train a person. They're not for your training purposes. That you don't do that.
Okay.
And I think that was just entirely disgusting. I think her just in general entire treatment of her students is disgusting, and she needs to be fired and immediately done something about the way she treats people. She needs to be locked up or something, because you don't treat people like that.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Midnight. All right. We're gonna go a little bit deeper into the conversation.
Respond to that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Swan.
Well, I just to kind of like, so the conversation is meaningful. This is meaningful no matter what. But just because I know there's a lot of people that think the same thing, we have to stop talking about racism as if it is hatred. Racism does not require hatred in order to function. Racism is about exploitation and dehumanization. Hatred can certainly be a product of racism, but it doesn't need racism, or I'm sorry, racism doesn't, or white supremacy doesn't need hatred in order to function. And I think when we can shift the focus and move away from just talking about how people are responding emotionally to racism, then we can have a much more meaningful conversation and truly understand the systemic issues that it poses, as opposed to saying that this is about hate, because it's so much more than hatred. So if I could pose this challenge to everybody in here, let's not use the word hatred anymore at all. This is about exploitation and the dehumanization of a group of people that was deemed lesser than or subhuman.
Yep. Yep. And Swan, thank you for calling that out. That's literally where I was just about to go. That's why I wanted to have everyone hear this video and then give the context as far as like, this was someone that was an educator, right, within the school system. And listening to her speak, I didn't hear any malice in her voice. I didn't hear hatred. I didn't hear any venom in her voice. With listening to the video, she was speaking very matter of fact, very frank, very unemotional, as is just like, hey, these are the facts, how I know them, and this is what this is. And that speaks to the presence of white supremacy throughout all systems of what we currently engage in society, and education being one of them. I wanna kind of get to something overall when it comes to white supremacy and where we really want to get into this, because I think a lot of people have a misconception around like white supremacy and what it means to uphold white supremacy. And also, I think people have a lack of understanding as far as what white supremacy is absolutely directly connected to, in which you have to acknowledge the connection between white supremacy and capitalism, right? So I think those things are go hand in hand, and I think that there's a lot of people that miss that, right? And even more so, the fact that white supremacy is something that is a global thing, while white people being a whole is a global minority. It's still something that has affected the world over in different societies. And I'm so glad that Swan called it out, because it's not a matter of hate. It's literally a matter of marginalization, othering, exploitation, and trying to uphold whiteness in order to continue to have a specific place within society. Swan, did I miss anything with that?
No, that made complete sense. 100% make complete sense.
Okay. All right. So I want to come around and we're going to talk about this a little bit more. And then I'm going to start like rotating a couple of people in and out, because I want to make sure that we're able to get more people in and really have this conversation. So Kai, I'm going to start with you, and I want you to think about this question for a second. And then I'm going to thank a couple of people, and then I'm going to come back to you and allow you to answer. But Kai, the question to you is going to be understanding what you know about white supremacy right now. What do you think the current implications are when it comes to white supremacy and capitalism? Why is white supremacy and capitalism tied together? And do you know what the first form of currency was in the U.S.? So hold on to that for just a moment. And I want to say just a couple of quick thank yous, and then I'm going to come back to you guys. Massive W's in the chat for Michelle. Michelle sent a $5 donation. Said thank you for your support of us SA survivors. Michelle, thank you so much. I truly mean that. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the love, support, and I'm so happy to see you here with us this evening in our community. W's in the chat for Morgan. Vintage Fizzle, who sent a $3 donation, said, one thing that really stuck with me about this video was the black man that didn't look surprised at all, right? Because white supremacy is everywhere. Keep up the good work. Just a white woman here to learn and support. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vintage Fizzle. Debbie's in the chat for Christine. Christine sent, Soldier Boy. Thank you. Sent a $15 donation. Said, please send this to Swan. I got you. Yes. I'll get that 15 over to Swan. Thank you so much for that. And then also, Debbie's in the chat for Activista, who sent a $10 super chat. It said, could you please discuss getting genetic typing to remove confusion? Yeah. We can talk about that. I know that was about the indigenous comments earlier. I will make sure that we circle back around, and Swan and I will cover that towards the end of the live. Absolutely. And Debbie's in the chat for Draco Rosa, who became a member over on YouTube. Guys, Debbie's in the chat for all the donors. If anyone else would like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Pay links and links are in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. If you enjoy the space we have here with Late Nights, if you enjoy the information, education, and entertainment, please consider donating, and make sure we're taking care of Swan while she's hanging out here with us. Her pay links are running in the poll in the bio. Make sure you show her some love. All right, Kakai, coming to you. The question I have is, what do you know about the connection between white supremacy and capitalism? And do you know what the first currency was here in the U.S.?
I don't know what the first currency was. And as far as capitalism, I'm not going to act like I know every single thing about capitalism and socialism and all that kind of stuff. But I do know capitalism is rooted in the exploitation of people. So it basically relates to white supremacy in that way. It's exploiting people for profit, for power, for gain. I think capitalism has allowed white supremacy to exist and continue on, um, giving going back, giving all the power to the white person, or them taking the power, and then creating these businesses having a hand up in economic status from the beginning, and giving everyone else a lower shot at that. Just upholds white supremacy, because if they were given a better start in life, no matter if it was a long time ago or if their relatives still benefit from it today, it's like, yeah.
Do you think that the people who had
Huh?
the ability to directly,
Someone.
I'm sorry, Kakai? Oh,
No, sorry.
do you think the people that had the ability to directly impact capitalism during the I'll give you the first form of currency here within the U.S. The first thing that was traded on the New York Stock Exchange within the United States was black bodies, right? Literally black people. Um, and so that's why I talk about the intimate connection between capitalism and white supremacy or racism. Um, and can you see the connection now as far as being able to control that form of capitalism in the form of slavery, and then using that to not only enrich yourselves by through the possession and trading and selling of black bodies, but also being able to those black bodies as use those black bodies as a form to progress yourself? First,
Sorry,
capital.
Santana, real quick.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say capital, because currency
Capital,
would be
not
like the
capital.
physical or
Yeah, yeah.
digital exchange.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. Capital, absolutely.
So your question was like, can I see how it
How the
relates to
benefits
white
of the
supremacy?
yeah, how it's intimately intertwined, and how they use that to actually basically get ahead, whether it's through the free labor that they were able to get from those people, or being able to own or sell them to increase the currency that they had.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I got confused with currency. But yeah, that's exactly like what capitalism is. It's exploitation. So I could see how it's. I didn't know it was that was happening as like an exchange. Well, I did, but I didn't view it in that way that you're describing. So yeah, it's directly related, because it is the exploitation of labor and uh, using someone else to get ahead
Right.
financially. So yeah, the exploitation part is basically what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, Kakai, thank you for coming up. I'm going to swap you out, and I appreciate you coming up and spending a little time with us. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Um, Samantha, coming to you. Covering what we just not only heard, and also talking about the overarching premise of white supremacy, and how that actually exists today. All right. I know there's a lot of people, like we've said, who think that this is something of the past and it's far gone. But it's still here today and it's still persistent. Samantha, I know you and I had a conversation back and forth, and we talked about your race, and we had to go through that understanding as far as like erasure and things along those lines. But you did say that you present as a white woman. And so, since you have that presentation of as far as a white person, the question I do have for you is, what role do you think you have in not only educating yourself more on white supremacy and how it exists today, but also being able to actively fight against it, especially if you want to advocate for indigenous people who have absolutely been overwhelmingly negative impact by white supremacy?
Yeah, I definitely.
Oh, you cut out, Samantha. Oh, you're
Sorry,
back.
my
Mhm.
my internet keeps cutting out. I'm sorry.
All right. Would you like to repeat yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Sorry. No, I was just saying that I definitely think that it's very important for myself and many others like me to make sure that we are very well educated on these things, because we do hold that responsibility to change the way that people are viewing non-white people. And we need to make sure that we are actively engaging in that education that we're giving ourselves, and not furthering the white supremacy that's going on.
Okay. Um, eh, One other thing that I do have is just what do you know about the overall impact that like colonizers had when coming to what is now known the Americas? Like, how much of that do you actually know in connection with what is currently like the actual violence that was used and the connection of white supremacy and used to spread whiteness throughout the Americas? How much do you know about that?
Um, Honestly, not a whole lot. The education that we get in school here doesn't really cover that.
Okay. And you said that you currently live in Canada. Are you from Canada, or do you just live there, or what exactly?
No, I was born here. I grew up here.
Okay. All right. Um, One thing that and this is a tough one to hear, but I think it's important for people to know. And when I talk about the spread of white supremacy throughout the history of the world, and the demand of upholding whiteness, I always talk about what happened to indigenous people and what happened in Turtle Island, which Turtle Island is what is now known as the Americas. But one thing that always sticks with me is the amount of indigenous people that lost their lives to uphold the spread of white supremacy and whiteness through the colonization of Turtle Island. When coming to the Americans, Americas. They took so many indigenous people lives that they actually cooled the temperature of the earth. That's how many people that they slaughtered with coming here. And that's something that is not lost on me. And that's something that I would hope wouldn't be lost on anyone listening. Um, and I would just say, Samantha, especially if you, with having this conversation and saying like, that you started speaking to your ancestry of, having your father or whatever, I would say that might be something you want to look into, especially when it comes to what has happened throughout the Americas and how that has actually impacted not only other people, but specifically the people that you are referring to and that you're a part of. So I'll just make sure I leave it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Carol, coming to you. You're someone, you said you are 60 plus and you have seen a couple of different things throughout the history of our country. And Carol, the one thing that I do know about Black people is that we have always fought and try to get ahead and above and fight back when it comes to fighting against white supremacy. As someone who has seen many days and has experienced life within this country and with dealing with white supremacy, what advice can you give the people on the panel and the chat as far as your best way? Because I heard you say that you call out people who engage in racism and who look to uphold white supremacy. But what advice could you give the other people as far as even if it's identifying and standing up against it?
The advice I would give them is that, you know, discuss it. If you have Black friends, you know, widen your circle and add more to your circle. And if you are engaging with them, let them know that you're not into that white supremacy and all of that. But they just, I think sometimes that they be engaging in the white supremacy because they don't know any better. It's how they were brought up. And when you bring it to them and say, you just learned that from your parents, that's who told you about it. And so, you just have to be out there talking about it, and I never let it slide me by when they have done something racist toward me. If they, my circle of friends include white people, and sometimes I've had to bring it to them exactly how they are being racist. For example, I worked all my life inside a prison, and the inmates got privileges by being on levels, and the highest level was 4. So 2 people present, a Black one and a white one, and they got in trouble for the same thing. Well, the Black one, the guy said, I'm going to drop you to level 0. And then the white one, he said, well, we're just going to leave your level just like this. And I'm like, oh no, that's just not going to happen. They did the same thing. They caused the same trouble, but you want to let that one slide, but you don't want to let this one slide. Why? And so the guy, he just looked at me. He was like stunned, and he couldn't come up with a reason why he had the disparity. And so, you have to break stuff down to people so that they will understand. After I made him understand, he changed his perspective on the whole situation. But if I hadn't called him out on it, it would have been just like, you know, the black guy would have got his level dropped, and the white guy would have got to stay on the same level that he was on. And if you don't talk to people and tell them, then they're going to continue to act that way. And
Yeah,
as far
yeah,
as the
yeah,
capitalism, you can look at, you know, look at all the things that come out, the government puts out. The when they first started Social Security, they didn't include black people.
mm-hmm.
Black people was not included in the Social Security Act, you know, until later on. Just like they claim black people, oh, we gave them welfare. No, you didn't. You did not give them any welfare, any benefits until, because they didn't even tell black people about it. We didn't even know it was such a thing as the Human Resources Department. So, they were scarfing up money long before we even knew about it. And
Yeah,
everything they came out with, just like when they repatriated the indigenous people and started giving them land and benefits, and they said black and whites could be included. I mean, whites could be included with the
white people.
indigenous people,
Mm.
but black people couldn't. And although, we, for all intents and purposes, my family, my ancestry were Indians because
Oh no,
Indians.
Miss Carol, we don't want to say the I word. That's considered a slur
Oh,
now. So you can say indigenous, or you could even say Native American. But I want to give you an opportunity to finish what you were saying. But I want to say
okay.
a couple of
Uh,
things as well. Yeah,
that the only thing I would say is that when they wrote the law for the Native Americans, they said that you could have YT and indigenous people, and they were eligible to get a roll number and everything. They called us freed people, and we got roll numbers, but it didn't mean anything.
yeah, and so I think that you said a lot there, Miss Carolyn. I appreciate you coming up, and I appreciate you sharing that information with us this evening. I'm gonna swap you out, but what I will say is that
Okay.
I appreciate being able to hear your voice, especially when it comes to people within, like, older people within our community. I think it's so important for us to make sure that we take every opportunity to learn from them, because the experiences that we're living through. I always say this: there's nothing new, right? And the experiences that we're living through today is the experience that the people before us have often fought against before, and that's why I think it's so important to hear voices like yours and others. So thank you so much for coming up and spending a little time with us on the panel this evening.
Okay, it's time for bed.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
One thing that I would love to say as well is that I do think it's super important to ensure that we are not only educating ourselves, but calling out any type of uh, white supremacy and fighting back actively through each and every opportunity. And so that's something that I think is super, super important, and making sure that we are actively doing so. And so I think calling that out is great. So I want to wrap this around to the other people that we have on the panel. I'm bringing a couple of other people in as well, but I do want to pass it to Swan for a second. And Swan, see if there's anything that you want to add. I know a lot was said with a lot of the last couple of people, but I want to make sure that I give you a few moments to make sure that you add your voice to all of that.
Yeah, I think there's the other thing too is that like sometimes like in their generation there's different experiences that they have, and I think like with as generations go onward and move forward there's more things that are uncovered. So it's important to understand that nuance. But what I would have added is I think when in terms of white people dealing with white supremacy, the first thing that they have to do is face themselves, right? Taking in information about white supremacy and how harmful it is and how it's carried out just means that they're taking in that information. But deconstructing means that they are actively deconstructing the ways in which they've been conditioned and socialized. So when we say taught, we don't necessarily mean that you're taught by your parents. Like, you know, your parents are like, all right, sit down here. Now, this is who you're going to exclude. This is who you're going to ignore. That's not what that means. What it means is, and this is something that's woven into every aspect of life: your education, housing, your financial status, your experiences within the healthcare system, when it comes to banking, when it comes to your environment. We're conditioned constantly, right? Newspapers, ads, marketing. That's what we're talking about. So and this is something that no one, right? Not one person on this planet can escape the conditioning of white supremacy. So it's important to understand that. But when we talk about white people dealing with it, they have to deal with themselves first. They have to deconstruct and deal with themselves first. Otherwise, they're just taking in the information, and they're not necessarily going to realize their impact onto other people, right? So I think that that's really the only way that they can go about it. But the last thing I'll say is when she talked about working in the prison, and when we tie racism to capitalism, chattel slavery or slavery period here in the United States never ended, right? What the 13th Amendment did was, I would say, it transformed it into the prison industrial complex. And you have people who are incarcerated who are forced to work for little to no money. And that adds, obviously, that's the United States economy is going to benefit from that exploitation. So that's something that people should understand too. I thought it was interesting that that was a perspective she gave working within a prison, but I would say the prison industrial complex and peeling back all those layers and understanding how that ties into race, that ties racism and capitalism together, is important for people to know and understand as well. But yeah, I'll just say that for now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, Swan. All right, so we're gonna move the conversation forward, and I want to wrap all the new people into the conversation. And if you are in the request, I promise you, I'm trying to get to as many people as possible, and I want to be able to hear as many people and give people the opportunity to join the conversation. But I will say, like, hey guys, remember to be active participants. We're almost at 150,000 likes. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 200,000 likes. Also, make sure that you give me a follow. You look up at the top. If you see the word follow, you're not following me. We are driving the main account to 100,000 followers. We only got 8 new followers on this stream. I'm positive that there's more than 8 people watching who have not followed me. So go ahead and hit that follow button so we can drive towards 100,000 followers. And if you're over on YouTube or Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button. We're trying to get to 19,000 over on YouTube and 1,000 over on Twitch. So make sure that you are hitting that follow button. And also, if you like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I'll read that out. If you enjoy what we do here at Late Nights, if you enjoy this space, this community, please consider donating and adding to keeping this thing going. All right. So I want to introduce the 3 new people, and then we are going to move the conversation forward. So I want to come back to Gucci. Hey, Gucci.
Hi, Santana.
Hi, welcome back. I know we had to cut the conversation short last night, so welcome back. But Gucci, can you tell the people what is your race, what is your current understanding of white supremacy, and what are you looking to add to this conversation?
I'm Black, and my current. Sorry, what was that last question?
What's your current understanding of white supremacy, and what are you looking to add to the conversation tonight?
Okay, my current idea of white supremacy. I think white supremacy is more of, I guess, like someone. I think it's Swan that had said the whitewashing of Black history and like education, and then we watched the video with the lady on TV who was very just matter of factly being racist on live stream or on Zoom or whatever that video was. I think those are like just kind of like little examples of how white supremacy affects us in our everyday lives, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Absolutely does. Thank you, Gucci. Let's see here. Is it Hood Hippie? No, it also
Yeah,
says
but you can call me
Precious.
Precious or
Precious. Hi,
P.
Precious. Um,
Hello.
Precious, can you tell the people what is your race? What is your understanding of white supremacy? And what is it just me? Like I hear like an echo.
I think there's feedback. Like if her volume's turned up all the way, when you're talking, you're gonna hear yourself coming through her microphone. But we can't
Oh,
hear it when everybody's muted.
okay.
Okay. I turned it down a little bit. Is that better?
Uh, yeah. Actually, way better. Thank you. All right. Can you tell the
You're
people
welcome.
what is your race? What is your current understanding of white supremacy? And what are you hoping to add to this conversation this evening?
My race, I am a biracial black woman, so I'm black presenting, but I'm biracial. And I'm sorry, what's your second question?
What is your current understanding of white supremacy?
Oh, okay. White supremacy to me is just this ideology that white people have of them thinking that they are superior to every other race, when in reality that's not true. But that's what I interpret it as.
Okay. And what are you hoping to add to the conversation?
Um, I'm just hoping to add my unique perspective. I am biracial, but I do come from two black parents. Like my mom is a biracial black woman, and then my father is black. But I do have white people in my family, and I find myself once I started like really waking up and opening my eyes and learning a lot more, having this strong like I don't hate white Caucasian people, but I have a strong like I found myself having a strong disdain and distrust for them, and I don't really like that because that's not really like my character. So I'm just hoping to learn more and get a better understanding of all of this so that I don't have that in my heart when it comes to them, and also just give, like I said, my unique perspective.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. One moment. And last but not least, Tess, how are you?
I am I'm okay. After watching So Too, I'm like mind melted. So hi.
All right. Tess, can you tell the people what is your race? What's your current understanding of white supremacy? And what are you hoping to add to the conversation this evening?
So I am white. Um uh my understanding of white supremacy is um very mustache man esque, except for I mean it's not like deadly. Yet parts of it are. I think it's a lot of very, very, very harmful. Um, I'm gonna try and walk this back just a little bit. It's just it's harmful for the country as a whole. You know, we've been described as a melting pot, but we're not. You know, the cream is not supposed to rise to the top. You're actually supposed to scoop the cream off the top. You know, um, I think that it's. I'm really disgusted by it. It incorporates and encompasses a lot of the harm that is in the country right now, um, and oppresses so many from so many different walks of life. Not just black, not just Asian, not just um, uh, non-Caucasian white
Well,
people.
white. We don't
Um,
want to call we don't want to say Caucasian. It's white. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Sorry. Go ahead.
right, but like the Hispanic, um,
Mhm.
Latino culture. Um, it's very, very harmful to really all of society when we don't have the minds, the brilliance that can rise to the top that should be there when we have so many so much legislation and rules and restrictions put in place by those in our
Mm.
leadership roles.
Got it. Got it. One thing that I do kind of want to speak to, and I guess really is the understanding of like or I guess get a better. What do you mean cream rise to the top. What do you mean by that? I'm a little confused as far as that point.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean cream. Foam. When you're cooking like a stew or something like that, and there's foam that comes up on to the top, or making like when I make chicken soup, there's that foam that comes up to the top. You're supposed to scoop it off, get rid of it. It's not supposed to be in with the soup. And I just mean that as white. The foam is typically white. I don't like that in there. Nobody likes it in there. It's part of the recipe. It's supposed to go away because it's not supposed to be at the top. It's a melting pot. All the different ingredients are in there, and as
Wait, so
people, we
are you
are
saying
all
that white
ingredients into a
supremacy is
society.
the foam, or white people are foam? What I'm really trying to make sure I understand
I'm
it.
saying the harmful part um of our, it's not really white culture because white people don't have much of a culture, if I'm being honest, not compared to other races. Um, I can I also preface this with saying I'm just in the beginning parts of my deconstructing,
Yeah.
and
I
I'm
think
so sorry if I'm.
I think a couple of things. I think what you're trying to say, and you tell me if I'm off base, is you're saying that Tess, I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm so
I
sorry.
yeah.
It's I think that what I'm saying is that white supremacy, like was in the video, um, it's trying to keep people pushed down so that the white people of this country, um, especially due to capitalism. Capitalism right now is something that leads a lot of it. Can stay up at the top and be in control.
Yeah. I think that making sure that we understand and identify white supremacy is huge. And I guess with your analogy, you were trying to talk about rooting it out and making sure that it's not a part. And also like the melting pot thing, and just for everyone, like the country's not a melting pot. It's melting pot would speak to the blending and forgetting of the different ingredients or cultures or whatever. The country's absolutely an amalgamation. It's in my opinion, more like a salad, right? Where there's
Okay.
different
Yeah.
parts, and all the unique parts make a whole that make it better. But we never forget those individual parts. They all just kind of come together and they work together in coordination while never separately blending into one. So like I always love to make sure that we do that, because we never want to forget about people and their culture and everything. And so I think that's
No, I
that's
appreciate that though. Thank you for clearing that up. I'll go back on mute so
yeah,
you can move on.
absolutely. All right, Swan, floor is yours.
Sorry, I had background noise for a second, so I'll try to get to a quieter space. But so I just want to be clear on what the 5 racial categories are that we use here in the United States specifically. The first one is, or I'm sorry, yeah. So those 5 racial categories are, as of right now, we know that they've changed in the past and they may change in the future. It is white, black, indigenous. I've heard some people use the term Amerindian, Pacific Islander, and then Asian, right? So those are the 5 categories. We got to take Caucasian out of our vocabulary or vocabulary. That is an ethnicity, people that come from the Caucasus Mountains, and they want people to stop using their ethnicity as a racial category. It's an outdated term. The other thing I wanted to say too is I think it's important for people to, like, it's okay for people to acknowledge that they don't know something instead of trying to find something to say. Just because I think when Kai was up here, Kai had said, I don't know a lot about capitalism and socialism. And I found that to be very, very honest. And I appreciated her saying that, because she's recognizing that she doesn't have the information on that, and that's okay. But then she can then go put herself on the path to getting the correct information. So, like in these discussions, I don't think that we should pressure ourselves to say something if we don't understand it. If we don't understand it, then we should just say that we don't understand it. And I think the other thing too is sometimes we will use analogies to have the discussion, but I feel like analogies, because that's something that I even struggle with at times. I think analogies are should be reserved for people that have an in-depth understanding of what racism is and what white supremacy is. I think we should just focus on what it actually is and how it actually works, right? So I'll just give the definition again, just to refresh, right? The simplest definition I could give is that it's a belief that white people are superior and should dominate in society. And when that's carried out, it's to the detriment of non-white people, if that makes sense. I just wanted to say that. But yeah, that's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Swan. All right. I while still talking about white supremacy, I think it's super important to wrap in this next point, and I think this is going to be a great opportunity. I want to talk about the growing and shrinking of the racist. Swan just so eloquently make sure to hit on the 5 racial categories, and there's been changes throughout our country within those racial categories. So we're going to talk about that in just one moment. I just want to say, guys, W's in the chat for Chewy. Chewy sent a $5 donation saying W for late nights. This week, I'm just sitting back and learning. Thank you for hosting this space. Chewy, thank you so much for the $5, the love and support that you have for our community and our space. And listen, I am just sitting in awe of Swan because Swan is doing her thing. So W's in the chat for Chewy. And guys, massive, massive, massive W's in the chat for Bear. Bear sent a $80 donation, and said, please share this with Swan. I will absolutely split that with Swan, and said, I'm watching from YouTube and learning so much as usual. Mad respect to all involved in the stream. Love and peace, Bear. Guys, I want to see 1,000,000 W's in the chat for Bear. 1,000,000 W's in the chat for Bear. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that kindness, love, and support to not only the stream, but also to Swan. That's what I'm talking about. Guys, if anyone else would like to support the live, if you like what we do here, if you want to continue to be able to see late nights happen, please consider supporting the live. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and link in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. Everything is accepted, anything's appreciated. And like I said, Swan is right here. Please make sure that we are appreciating and taking care of Swan. Black woman labor is not free. And Swan is up here doing an amazing job. So can we please get her coins immediately over 3,000 coins, but make sure that we're giving her a follow. Make sure that we're hitting her pay links. Please, please, please make sure we're taking care of Swan on the panel this evening as well. All right. So somewhere I want to take this.
I did get a few, Santana.
Yeah,
Beth,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Vintage Frizzle. Thank you, Beth, Vintage Frizzle, and then Soldier Boy. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. I got your CAs. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. So I do want to shift to the premise as far as what's happening in our country and why white supremacy is so intimately tied to the shrinking of one race and then also the increase of another race. Or not necessarily a race, but what's happening is we're seeing a shift within our country where over the last 30 years, populations, racial populations within the United States, all of the racial populations have started to increase except the white race, right? White people within the United States are on track to become a minority, and it's at the expense of another quote unquote growing race, which it's not officially a race, but we talk about the growth of biracial people. So I kind of want to start with Precious, because you said that you are a biracial woman, right? But you present as a Black woman. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay. So, Precious, one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I would love to have you kind of speak to. I know when we talk about like biracial people, and we talk about like the actual shift within the country, I want to just give a moment to hear about your experience, because I know there's a lot of back and forth with people who are biracial because they don't necessarily feel that they're always accepted by one race or the other, and then they feel like they're forgotten, or there's a lot to it. And then there's also a lot of harmful terminology that's used around biracial people. So I just would like to hear what has been your experience with dealing with race within the country, and even more so, how white supremacy has been impactful in your life within the country.
Okay. So, I guess I could just start with a little bit of background. Like I said, I am Black presenting, and just a brief like history. My mom is a biracial Black woman, but her mom is white, so I do have one. I have a white grandmother, um, and then like the rest of my grandparents are Black American. So, I live in Detroit, which is like a predominantly one of the blackest cities in America. So I have never, at least not to my knowledge, maybe because I be in my own world a lot of times, I, to my knowledge, have not firsthand experienced racism. If I have, it may be maybe more behind the scenes. But I have struggled in spaces where I felt like maybe I've had to like straighten my hair for job interviews or in certain settings, or things of that nature. More superficial things, I feel like. I also feel like it depends on like the type of spaces sometimes that you put yourself in, because I stay in a predominantly Black city, I have the option of whether I want to go and patronize an establishment or go to an event that will have predominantly white people there. Like I have that option. And if it's up to me, I'm going to go where I feel more accepted and with the community that I'm used to being around, just because that's where my comfort lies. However, I also
Let me
grew up
pause you
in.
for a half a second, Precious.
Mhm,
When you said that you've been in situations where you felt pressure to straighten your hair,
mhm.
what did you think that was? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Um, hmm.
Why would there be pressures to straighten your hair?
I feel like I feel like because I do have curly hair, I have big hair. I feel like that can just, being in a more professional setting, that can give people a certain what is the word I'm looking for, misconception of me, or they just may be viewed negatively in a more professional or certain settings. Like I'm not even going to
So
say
you
like
wait, do
just
you feel
job
that people
interviews.
would look at you as being like less professional if you wore your natural hair?
Yes, absolutely.
Have you ever gotten any like indirect feedback about your hair, or have you ever had someone ever like, hey, oh, I like your hair, can I touch it, or like grab your hair to see like the curly or fullness?
Mm, yeah, yeah,
You
it
have.
happens quite a bit.
Mm,
Usually when people in my own community, like Black people, they'll ask before they just touch my hair. But
mm,
of course, being around white people, it's not, they don't have that same like a discernment or just
mm-hmm,
like, oh, maybe I should ask before I just do something.
mm-hmm,
So it has definitely happened before where they went to touch my hair and I kind of like pulled back because they didn't ask for permission first.
okay. Give me 1 second, Swan. I'm gonna let you have this one.
Yeah, I think when we talk about like the need to straighten hair that comes from the first thing I'll say is if you were in school, probably policies within the school, like in terms of how people need to present themselves. But it's also going to come down to, sorry, it's also going to come down to like Eurocentric beauty standards, right? This idea that if your hair is straight, that you're more presentable because we pedestalize Eurocentric beauty standards. We've been conditioned to do that. Um, or having like a coily, a curly or a coily texture is looked down upon, or like having box braids. These are hairstyles that are culturally significant to Black people. And there are many institutions that deemed these hairstyles as unprofessional. Why? Because it's tied to Blackness, right? So I think that that's more so what you're talking about is racist policies. Yes, texturism, exactly that. racist policies within like schools and the job place, or even especially when if you're in the media, right? We see that that's usually the first thing that would happen is you get your hair straightened so you can be more presentable, because you need to look like, you know, someone who would have a European or more Europeanized hair texture. But that's what it comes down to. That's what you're speaking about, is texturism. And then also, I think when it comes to white people having this thing where they want to just invade Black people's space because they're in awe of something and they just want to touch it, and they don't have that second thought to think, I shouldn't do that, I should ask permission first, has a lot to do, it's very deep rooted. It has to do with racial fetishization. Even like, if you ever, I mean, I'll just keep it 100 with y'all. If you ever see reactions that white women tend to have towards Black men, it's very, very like dehumanizing, right? There's this obsession with the Black body and things that are tied to the Black body too. So I would say that that plays a part as well. But yeah, that's my explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I,
So
I think Precious, it was quite interesting to hear you say that you hadn't really experienced racism, and but while also experiencing different forms of racism. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, is how racism can manifest itself, and you can be affected by different things and not necessarily know it. It doesn't have to be as blatant as someone just like absolutely calling you the N word, or you know, strange fruiting you or something. Like, it can be it exists in multiple forms. It exists in system. It exists in so many different dimensions that I think it's hard for certain people to see those different things. um I think it's super interesting where you did identify the difference as far as when you're there's consent to enter your space, like Swan stated, versus having a sense of entitlement to just do so without seeking permission. So I think that's a interesting point there. Um, one one quick follow up question I have for you, because this is something that that I wanted to make sure that we talk about, and it doesn't transition as smoothly as everything else that I would like to talk about, but I do think this is super important that we talk about. Um, the term biracial. Would do Have you always called yourself biracial, or has like when did you start identifying yourself as biracial, specifically that term, or have you ever gone by anything else?
yes, I used to call myself mixed, but that was
Mm.
just because people will always ask me what I'm mixed with. Like, people would ask me that so much to the point where I start calling myself mixed because people will always ask me.
Why'd you
But
stop?
then once I started, I started learning more, and I started learning that that's not the correct terminology to be using to describe myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I think a lot of biracial people struggle with, is that terminology, and the fact that understanding that, like, the whole premise of quote unquote being mixed. I call that all the time. Like, that's so dehumanizing, and I think that's an uphill battle. And even with some biracial people, they use that terms themselves, and they say, you know, oh, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I say it or whatever. And while, like, I'm not going to tell people what they say they should or shouldn't, or they can or can't say about themselves, I do want to make sure that people understand, like, even that term is the dehumanization. That's like a key point of white supremacy, is ensuring that non-white people have a sense of dehumanization, because once you actually humanize people, you can't treat them the way that you want to treat them. You can't disenfranchise, harm them, and then justify it if they're humanized. And so it's a part of dehumanization, and that's why I always call out those certain terms, and like, that's one of the big ones. But all right, Precious, thank you so much for that. Give me 2 seconds here. Um, uh, I want to come back down to midnight. Midnight. Um, Something interesting that we spoke to was the fact that here in the U.S., the white population is shrinking, and I attribute it to a couple of different things, and including that this is the first time in recent United States history where white women specifically are obtaining college degrees and making equal pay directly out of college as white men. And so they are no longer beholden to those relationships and being, someone who has to rely on specifically the man to be quote unquote the leaders of the house and all this other stuff. And so they're breaking those social and cultural norms. And with expanding and breaking those culture and social norms, they are looking outside and like seeing who they want to engage with, other personalities, all these other things, right? But have you noticed the emphasis that is being put on the quote unquote white race or white culture or whatever within the United States, and how that is starting to manifest even within the political system to preserve our culture? Have you noticed that?
Okay. You're gonna have to take it. I'm somewhat smart. I'm relatively smart sometimes, but I have my moments, so I just need you to work with me a little bit.
Have you heard of the
Okay,
white
so
replacement theory?
yes.
What do you think about it?
I personally, I don't know much about it. I I would like to know more about it if possible.
Yeah, someone said it's also called the Great Replacement Theory. Okay, one second. Let me 1 second. Tess, have you heard of the white or Great Replacement Theory?
I have heard of it. I don't know much about it beyond the fact that it is a white supremacist terminology in order to try and bring about more white people and keep us the majority.
Yeah. So to speak a little bit more about it, it's the idea that white people are being replaced in the country by non-white people, and that's why white people are on pace to become the minority. And so that in order to keep America as a quote unquote white country, there are things that are currently happening that will ensure that the population does not make that shift, including slowing immigration into the country. That's one of the reasons why mass deportation is such a thing in the United States now. It's, they're trying to combat non-white people that are in the country. And even more so, you see someone made a point this evening while watching Donald Trump's State of the Union that the only refugees that are being let into the country currently are white South Africans. Everyone else is being paused as far as being able to get into the country. But it also presents itself in like with the Heritage Foundation, and when you talk about the abortion, right, and how they fought so long to overturn Roe. Well, that's directly connected to the birth rate. Specifically, they want white women to have quote unquote more white babies, but then also looking to actually disenfranchise other people in order to strengthen the quote unquote white race within the U.S. And this is something that has happened throughout the history of our country and the expansion of who is classified as white. Because
Right, because
you got an echo there. Who's classified as white? Because even we know for a fact at one point, like even Italian people weren't classified as white, but they were officially shifted over and classified as white people, and we've seen that throughout the history of our country, where there's been any type of uh, perceived threat to whiteness within the United States, there has been actions that were taken to preserve whiteness within the U.S. Swan, I want to give you the floor for anything that I missed.
Yeah, so sorry, hold on.
While Swan does that, let me say W's in the chat to a couple of different people, guys. Massive W's in the chat for Caroline. Caroline sent a $20 donation saying, I really like this week's topic. Sadly, I can't contribute much since my background is completely different as I'm German. I understand. I appreciate you. But I'm learning a lot. W's in the chat, Caroline. Thank you for being here, and thank you for learning. Thank you for being a part of our community. Debbie's in the chat for I think it's pronounced Sarissa. I think it's pronounced Sarissa. I'm sorry. I know I'm messing that up, but W's in the chat. Thank you so much. He said, "I'm glad I found your lives. I study racism and racism reduction in Canada from my own Indigenous perspective. I really appreciate learning about your perspective too. You're doing amazing work. Love to see it. Listen, I would actually love to hear your perspective. You might not be able to get up here tonight, but if you can join tomorrow, I would love, love, love to hear your perspective. Thank you so much for the $20. Thank you for the love support to the community. And please, if you can, get up here. And guys, massive, massive, massive W's in the chat for Trisha. Trisha sent a $50 donation. Massive W's in the chat for Trisha. Trisha sent a $50 donation saying, I've learned real things from you and Swan in these past 2 days. Please share this with Swan. Hugs. Absolutely. I would definitely be splitting that with Swan and making sure that she gets that as well, guys. Massive W's in the chat for all the donors. If anyone else would like to support the live, if you enjoy what we do here at Late Nights, please consider supporting. This is how we keep things going. So Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links, and link tree in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat and we will read that out. Swan, are you good?
Yeah. Sorry, I was chewing earlier. You caught me mid-chew.
You're good. You're good.
So when it comes to the Great Replacement theory, this is something that is it's been concocted by white supremacists basically to create a narrative that the reason as to why their population is declining is because of actions coming from non-white people, which is preposterous, right? If white people have created systems that exist globally and uphold whiteness, right? And they control those systems. And anytime those systems ever are pushed, people fight against them, they've always found a way to double down and have a violent response to preserve whiteness. Then please explain to me how migrants coming into the United States from other countries are replacing them. That's just not how that works, right? The decline in population, in their population specifically, is just tied to the ways in which they're living their lives, and that's literally it. The problem with that, though, is that, and I just want people to understand this, because people say that there are no laws within our government that are racist. That's not true, right? You have an entire system. The Department of Homeland Security was created solely to uphold whiteness and white supremacy, and that's it. So Stephen Miller, I'm sure many of you know who he is. He's a top immigration advisor in the Trump administration. He's been widely described as a YT nationalist. That's because he is. There were emails that were leaked between 2015 and 2016, right? And there was an investigation by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And so basically, he sent out a bunch of emails from Miller to Breitbart editors in which he promoted white nationalist websites like VDare, recommended stories from The Camp of the Saints. This is a book, okay? It's a racist, anti-immigrant novel, and pushed for stories that were promoted the white G side or the Great Replacement theory, right? So it's something that they use and they weaponize and use it to justify their actions that are going to continue the exploitation of non-white people and continue the dehumanization of non-white people and keeping them in control. I think there's a lot more that goes into this, but just understand that that's not true. This whole narrative that there's other groups trying to actively replace white people is not the reason as to why their population is declining, right? That's not it. But understand that it is something that is weaponized against non-white people. It's used to justify the harm towards us. And it is very much so exists within our government. That whole entire system, I mean, our government overall, but the system of DHS definitely directly targets, actively targets non-white people and is harmful to non-white people, citizens or not. But yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Swan. All right. I want to come back. Tess, I want to come back to you, and then I'm going to go ahead and drop you out. But hearing what we just talked about with the replacement theory, or the white replacement theory, what are your thoughts on that? And have you seen that persist within our country now?
Absolutely. I have a friend of mine who, I have two friends, and the differences between them is very different. One is an immigrant from Mexico. He immigrated when he was a child, but it took him and his family years and years to immigrate here properly. Whereas I have another friend of mine who immigrated here from England, and it was a 1.5 year process. Still too long, but considerably less. And I think that goes to show bit of the white supremacy is that when you come from, and I'm using air quotes, favored nations, um, it might be easier to come in, and that's part of the white uh, supremacy process. Also, I think SAVE Act is another instance that we are seeing currently being forced upon us for all marginalized groups. And I don't necessarily think it's just race that is part of the white supremacist agenda. I think also the trans agenda is being not agenda, but the trans community is being affected. The LGBTQ community is affected. There's so many communities affected by the. I was muted. I'm sorry. I think I may
Yes.
have.
No.
Sorry.
I think I think
I'm
we're
glad to be corrected.
Mhm. But one thing that I want to make sure that we do is stick to where we're going and stay kind of where we want to be. And I do think there's a lot of different people that are impacted by the by white supremacy in a lot of different ways. But I do think it's important that we kind of stay where we are in the moment. But I do get what you're saying, right? The premise that the pathway to citizenship and the pathway to coming into the U.S. and depending on your race may be uh, made easier or made more difficult. And I do think that's something that is super interesting, and I think it is more so related in the premise of the quote unquote replacement theory. That's why I did quote the fact that like even this administration is currently only letting white South Africans into the country. So I think there's a lot to be said about that as well. But anyway, Tess, thank you so much for coming up this evening. Thank you
I'm
for hanging
sorry.
out.
Thank you. I'm
All right.
sorry.
No, you're good. I
Have a good night.
appreciate you. Have a wonderful night. Precious, I want to come to you. And kind of in that same vein, right? You were just speaking to, or we were speaking to, biracial people and how they are like one of the fastest groups within our country, and how that's actually beginning to be something that is, like the whole point of white supremacy is to uphold whiteness, and so they're looking to disenfranchise women to the tune of like not allowing them access to healthcare via abortion, just to try to increase the chances of upholding whiteness. And you are someone that flies in the face of that. Any other thoughts from you as far as what you heard about the Great Replacement theory?
Yes, I have like the last guy said, I do not know the full ins and outs of it, but I do have heard of it before. I watch a lot of like interviews and things like that with like white supremacists and Triple K members, and they do bring that up sometimes. So I have heard them speak about it, but I'm not, as far as I know, it's this ideology that white supremacists have that, like you said, that they're being replaced, and it's like another race's fault when that's not the case.
Yeah, I think more than
Is that kind of,
anything,
am I on the right track with thinking that?
well, yeah, more than anything, it's that like the preservation of whiteness, right? The upholding of whiteness, and again, I think the embracing of who we are as people versus just the upholding of like a specific categorization or whatever. I think that's what's more important in life. That's why I said biracial people in the country are literally flying in the face of people who are looking to uphold whiteness, and I think that's super important. And I think your
Yeah.
voice is super important, and your experience is super important. We're going to have a few more conversations around this, and I really hope that you're able to rejoin, because there's a couple of things that I would like to really have your perspective and opinion on. But I appreciate you coming up tonight and speaking with us.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm thank you for having me up. I will definitely be back to this is my first time up here. I'm usually in the chat, so I will definitely be back though to discuss more with you guys for sure. Thank you to all you guys. Thank you, Swan, Kay. I watch you guys all the time and I love the different perspective that all of you guys have. So hopefully I can learn something from this and I can deconstruct a little bit because I do have some disdain
Yeah,
for white
yeah.
people. And
Well, I
I
mean,
wanna try to
there's a lot of
hash through
unpacking
that a
that a
little
lot
bit.
of people have. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Bye you guys.
Um, uh, Jordan, I want to come to you first. One, I would love to hear your thoughts on the quote unquote great replacement theory, but even more so, I would love to hear like your thoughts as far as because like white supremacy is going so far to say like we need more white babies. And so we're gonna harm women, period, to ensure that we can try to get more white babies. And like the actual idea of like restricting abortion, and that's something that affects all women, not just women of one specific race. So I would love to get your feedback on the replacement theory, that specifically, and then anything else that you may have.
Yeah. So when it comes to the white replacement theory, I see it as merely just a um because we know one of the ways in which white supremacy is upheld is through acts of systemic violence, like systemic overt violence. And so using saying that there's this like, oh, we're being replaced, or like they are presenting it as if they are under attack almost, and thereby justifying taking action in some type of way. It's basically violence for perceived violence. Not saying I'm not, of course, saying that they are correct. I'm just putting myself in their scary mindset in terms of like how they are presenting what they perceive is happening to them. And so that's why doing things like restricting access to healthcare, like ABs, it is an act of violence, because they see themselves as being on this so-called chopping block. But it's ironic because I recently saw something that said that more, like, I think last year, more minority babies were born than the number of white babies that were born. So it's almost like, I'm not gonna say their plan isn't working, because we can't just go off of 1 year of statistics. But it definitely does like call into question, like, just how far are they gonna be willing to go, if the trend continues that way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like just the concept of hate in general that we talked about earlier. And I listened to some other creators as well talk about how hate is not necessary for white supremacy or for racism, and there's just something, I think that's something I'm still having to like learn, because in my mind, that's how I perceive it. In my mind, to enact violence on someone, to enact violence on a group of people, I'm going back to when racism was first created. To enact violence on a group of people without, like, just unprovoked, to me, there has to be some element of hatred or evil or something. And I think maybe it is tying back into my religious upbringing, the concept of a soul and good versus evil and things like that. So like maybe that's still another level of deconstructing I have to do. But I mean, like, I feel like hate is so like intertwined with it. It's kind of like a chicken and egg situation. And I mainly like something that I really have been thinking about. I pulled out one of my old books from college. It's Max Weber, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. And in it, he says, this consciousness of divine grace of the elect and holy was accompanied by an attitude towards the sin of one's neighbor, not of sympathetic understanding based on consciousness of one's own weakness, but of hatred and contempt for him as an enemy of God, bearing the signs of eternal damnation. And so, like the fact of there being, like, to me, it seems like the hate has to be there if you're going to inflict that level of violence on people. Like, I can't imagine anything else that would drive someone to, like, a group of people to go after another group of people, even if it was for survival. I feel like that's an extreme form of survival, because we know obviously that the colonizers were not, like in England, they were still dumping their caca out the window and walking in the streets with it and dying and unaliving of disease, while different uh countries in Africa had like intricate water irrigation systems and things like that. So I think that's something I'm still gonna have to like do some more like learning on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I know there's a lot to that, and I see Swan said that she will explain, so I will defer to Swan. Swan.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Jordan. I'm so sorry. I get like I don't know why I've been so teary eyed lately with a lot of things, but like it's like it in a good way. Just again, your willingness to learn. There's another Nafi is a lot like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, when racism or like the concept of whiteness being deemed superior, it wasn't about hatred. It was about we've got to find a way to make people believe that those that we're about to exploit are less than, and that that's their role. And religion does play a part. I don't want to go too much into it, but you are right, it does play a part in this. When we talk about the act of charity being given to African people who were deemed subhuman. So we were not considered human beings, right? And so it wasn't about hatred. It was about forcing people through the use of propaganda, of pseudoscience, of control, and making them think that we are not human beings, right? Now, I think over time, we've seen how things have changed, and we see that there is definitely hatred as a result, as a response to racism and to white supremacy. But it doesn't need that to function. What it needs is to be able to depict this group of people that we're going to exploit as less than, right? So when Gomez de Zurara documented his observations of African people way back in the 1400s, when he came into contact with them, he wrote down that we were animalistic, that we were hypersexual, violent because we lived in a hotter climate. He said that we were barbaric and that we needed to be civilized, right? So when the Catholic Church put out those papal bulls that gave permission and justification to Spain, Portugal, and European countries to enslave us, they did include in them, we're also going to Christianize them as an act of charity. So they kind of had this divine right and superiority that they forced everybody into believing, if that makes sense. So that's why I say it's harmful to use hatred as what racism is. In addition to that, though, on the flip side, when you ask a white person if they've experienced racism, we know that they cannot, but they'll usually tell you a story of them getting their feelings hurt, right? They never give you an example that has to do with something that's systemic. Yeah, my dog is in the background. But they talk about their feelings being hurt. Oh, I was called a sea wrecker, or I was called an HO onky, right? Like those are, first of all, those aren't even racist terms. They're not racial slurs. Those are more so tied to class. But they will give you an example of their feelings being hurt because that's all that they can understand, right? So I think it's not true to say that it's hatred, but it also, I think it can turn the conversation into something harmful, because then you just are going to have a bunch of people talking about having their feelings hurt, and that's not the same thing. Racism was about the exploitation of non-white people, which affords privilege and control over resources to white people. So it's always important to remember it that way. So I'm gonna say it again. Racism, right, and white supremacy, it's about the systems that were created that all work together to form a structure that affords white people privilege and control of resources through the exploitation and the dehumanization of non-white people. So the hatred tends to come after that. And then also think about this, right? When white people, during the civil rights movement, white people were very angry about this. You had Fred Hampton, right? Somebody who was not even necessarily just about progression for Black people, but about progression and liberation for all marginalized communities, right? He was against capitalism and all of those things. And then they depicted him in a very negative way. And there were also white people, a lot of white people, who felt threatened by him and ended up developing a hatred towards him and people like him. You know what I'm saying? And then on the flip side, there's hatred as well coming from non-white people towards white people because of the treatment that we've had. So that's why I say it's important to understand that, yes, hatred is a product and a response to racism, but racism, or it doesn't require hatred in order to function, if that makes sense. Hopefully that made sense. That was a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no, I definitely, I think I definitely understand, and like I said, I think it's something that I have to unpack because, like, I still have this like concept of like a soul and spirituality and like this concept of good versus evil, and so in my like in my heart of hearts, it's like something is like to exploit someone doesn't hate have to somewhat exist, but like you said, it was it was it was just justification to exploit a group of people for their own gain. Like have hate didn't really have anything to do with it. So I definitely appreciate that information.
if you watch videos, there's a video that exists out there. I had to just pull it up at some point, but there's a person who's interviewing white people and asking them what their responses were to the Civil Rights Act being implemented, and they just say the N word like it's nothing. It was socially acceptable.
I
They
think I've
say it
seen.
like
I
it's
think I've
nothing.
seen that
I
video.
know
I think
that
I've seen
video.
that.
And so it's not even like I hate them. It's like this is who you are. You're a bunch of animals. You're less than. This is what we call you. You're N words, and that's just normalized. It was very normalized during that time period. But yeah, sorry, I'll end there.
I'll say this. I think that connecting it to and reducing it to hatred is it's a cop out, right? It gives a way to allow people to not directly engage in what racism is and how white supremacy exists, because if you reduce it and connect it directly to hatred, then people can say, well, I don't hate you, so I can't be racist. Like I don't even know you. How can I be racist if I don't know you, right? And that's what happens. And that's why it's harmful. And so like that's something that I think like when you give that leeway to do so, then it makes it easier for people to like pretty much marginalize what the impacts are as far as racism. But yeah, but anyway, Jordan, thank you so much for coming up and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for what you added, and you are absolutely amazing.
All right, thank you so much, Santana, and thank you, Swan, again. Like always teaching me something. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you giving me the space to like learn and grow, and like try my best to just be a better person for myself and be a better person for my community as well. So I appreciate everybody. And you guys have a good night. Okay.
You two have a good night.
Absolutely. Really quick for the people over on YouTube, they said the live cut out again. It's not me. It's not the live. It's literally YouTube. For some reason, portrait view over on you. If you were watching with portrait view, the portrait view just completely stopped. Landscape view is still working with YouTube. YouTube has been having some issues. If you're over in the YouTube chat, can you? Because I see people are still typing, but they were watching the portrait view. Can you guys let them know that like you're still here, you're still watching, but it's just those people that were watching on portrait that's having the issue. But it's not us. It's literally it's YouTube. Also, really quick, guys, W's in the chat. W's in the chat. Holy smokes, W's in the chat for Dylan. Dylan sent a $30 donation. And this is it's Tika on YouTube, or Silver. I'll call you Silver. Thank you so much, Silver. Who sent a $30 donation saying, just want to say how much I appreciate you and Swan for these lives the last couple of nights. I consider myself fairly well educated, but y'all are definitely address or added to my knowledge. I know it isn't a ton, but please split this with Swan. Absolutely. Thank you, Dylan, for the love, support, kindness. You are freaking awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say that enough. And also, guys, massive W's in the chat for CGS. CGS sent a $50 donation. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Said, please Google Upper Arlington, Ohio, about the four girls found in 2020 on the Pleasant Lynchford land. Remains found on the land owned by the former slave owner being improperly cared for. Justice and respect. Holy smokes. I'm going to have to look that up. Holy crap. I'm going to have to look that up. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I'm going to definitely go look that up. And thank you for supporting the live, supporting what we do here at Late Nights. Thank you for that. You're absolutely amazing. W's in the chat for Frank for the $5 donation, saying just sending some love and support to the movement. Thank you for always having the hard conversation. You're awesome. No, you're awesome. W's in the chat. W's in the chat for Frank. And also, there was one super chat that came in, and I want to address this, right? Because it's always super interesting. And this was someone over on Portrait View, but Portrait View is now collapsed or whatever. But they sent a $19.99 super chat. And I think the mods might have swatted it down before, so I don't think the people could see it, but I still want to address this. So someone sent a $19.99 super chat to say, America was not created by accident or emotion. It was built through a specific civilization system based on constitutional law, private property, individual liberties, and scientific freedom, developed by white capitalism. So the person who posted that must have thought that, like, oh, I'm cooking. America was created by a bunch of people who killed indigenous people, who enslaved black people, who were outcast of Europe. It was literally created for white men that own land. It has a blood-stained history. The Constitution upholds that blood-stained history, and having the idea that America was somehow crafted and created in perfect whiteness or some weird stuff, had to catch myself, is it shows the ignorance that that we're fighting. And it also shows that these people who hold to white supremacy are still trying to fight for what they think this country was created to be. They think that this country is a white land for white people, built by white people, and must be, maintained by white people. But I say this all the time. It was literally stolen land from indigenous people that was built off the backs of black people and maintained by immigrants, whether you talk about Asian immigrants, whether you talk about immigrants coming from Italy, whether you talk about brown immigrants today that are being overwhelmingly harmed, dehumanized, in multiple ways by ICE. Like, America has never been about white people. Heck, America has never been about one race or anything. It's literally been, I always talk about this. There's no one, people always say, oh, American culture, American culture. Like, there's no American culture unless you're talking about black culture that came out of necessity, because black people in America have been cut off from ancestries and not knowing our culture. But that's why I made the point earlier about, like, the whole amalgamation, the salad, right? The American culture is a combination of people bringing other cultures from other places, and that's what makes America great. The fact that people come from other places, and you take what's best from those places, and you allow those different cultures and those different people to thrive and push the country forward. And so the premise that we need to be a quote unquote white country, or heck, any other type of country except a country where people can actually be the best versions of themselves, is absolutely mind blowing. So the person who sent the $19.99 super chat, sure, I'll take it. We'll use this to do good things. We'll use that support that you sent to do good things. But you thought you were cooking, and you really just cooked yourself. So anyway, if you like to support live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and link tree in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. Gucci, I want to come to you. Thoughts on the replacement theory and anything else that you wanted to speak to?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on the white replacement theory. A few years ago on like Instagram or Facebook, one of those websites, I had seen like a post about what the United States population would look like in I don't know how many decades it was. And the picture of the generated image was a biracial person. um I don't know if that was tied into like the idea of white replacement theory. I didn't realize when that became a white supremacist talking point, but um I it's their birth rate is going down. There's reasons for that. There's a lot of reasons for that. No one wants to have babies with them. No one wants to have babies in this economy. All the stuff. And I think their reaction to their numbers going down is funny. They're crying about it. They're losing power so rapidly that they are now trying every single thing they can to hold on to power. And like, overturning Roe v. Wade and like wanting to force women to have more white kids, or like just the immigration part of it. That's a whole nother way where that white supremacy has infiltrated our system, is through the immigration process, which someone already talked a little bit about that, as to like the different countries and their races, and how easy or extended the process is to immigrate to this country, or the deportation process that we're seeing right now. Um, that also adds into it. And honestly, like, it's kind of where like an animal is dying and it's trying its hardest to hold on to life. It's going to die. And I think their hold on society is going to fall eventually. And that's what they're afraid of. And that's why they're reacting so hard, or so emotionally to the idea of being replaced.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree, and I agree with the it's like always the point I make about the extinction burst when I talk about like Trump supporters, and not saying like the white race is going extinct, but like seeing the end of potential power is absolutely terrifying, and you see that lashing out in multiple ways, in so many ways that they're willing to
It is.
harm anyone in order to ensure power is still in place, and so that's what we're seeing. And Gucci, you got a bit of an echo too. But anyway, Gucci, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you for adding to that. Anything else that you wanted to add?
I what I also found really interesting about this whole conversation today is my echo better, because I'm just like on my phone on speakerphone.
Yeah, I think it's I only hear it with me, and I think it's the thing where like if you got the volume up, and then I can hear like kind of feedback, and so it's only when I talk.
All right, is it better?
No, you're good. I'll just be quiet.
Okay. The one of the biggest ways that white supremacy has affected our societies through our education. There's the like erasure of Black history. There's something that Swan had said about. Give me a second. Let me remember. Um, she used a phrase. imperialist amnesia, I remember. That is in our education where they're trying, and unfortunately they are succeeding. Like we see people who don't know what's happening, or they are so misinformed that they're very easily indoctrinated into the white supremacist idea and just being like blind to it. The idea of like, actually, let me just say this. This is why I think protesting and being like loud and just having this lives and just being and talking about it is so important, because the only way we can fight their war on our education and our history is by being loud about it, by marching, calling our representatives and all that. So if you're wondering in the chat how to help, what to do, be loud about it, share information, share, double check your information first of all, and share as much, talk with people around you regardless of how difficult or how angry they are. Be careful about that, but just be loud about it.
I couldn't agree more. Gucci, thank you so much for coming up and hanging out with us tonight. You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Swan, mods, you don't have to delete the super chat. You don't have to delete it. You don't have to delete. The person came over to landscape because they were on portrait and sent another $20 super chat to try to get this off again. Swan, I know you had something that you wanted to say to the first one, but they followed up again with another $20 super chat. Empirical data matters. Look around your kitchen and daily life. Modern conveniences like toaster, refrigerator, television, automobile, computer, and airplanes were largely developed within white capitalistic industries. First and foremost, again,
Listen,
if you got it, Swan. You got it.
so what Deuce is holding on to is white supremacy. This is why I have the topic in my space that is white supremacy, or I'm sorry, white men need white supremacy in order to survive, right? Because they've never demonstrated a time period as to when they've been able to live without it. And here you have a prime time example of somebody that is paying to be racist. They spend $40 to be racist.
Yes.
Because and then they genuinely thought that if they paid the money to put these comments in the comment section and they were read out loud, then we would just, you know what? He's right. Oh my goodness, stop the live. We're not going to talk about this anymore. White people rule, non-white people drool. No. Nah. Look around your home, and most of the inventions that you see were created by Black people, right? White people were just very good at stealing things, which is why they created the patent system, right? So that's number one. But I think the hot take that I had earlier is Deuce was sold the lie. He believed the lie, right? That white supremacy wanted him to believe. Now, the sad part about this, right, is because white supremacy it affords privilege to white people, right? Through the exploitation of non-white people. But the way that it backfires onto white people is that in order to function, in order for you to take this belief on, you have to abandon reality, right? You get robbed of your ability to see the humanity in others, and when that happens, you have now also been robbed of your ability to see the humanity within yourself, because he's viewing this whole entire conversation as an attack on him, when really it's about exposing these things that are harming everybody in society. So while they do benefit when it comes to material conditions from racism, he loses out on the ability to understand what life would be like if white supremacy didn't exist, right? And this is why I think Gucci and Jordan talk to the fact that like this whole white replacement theory, and just all of the things that white people have done since they created the concept of whiteness has led to their population decline. I mean, they're taking the biggest L in history. How do you take over the entire planet, set up all these systems to benefit yourselves, and all you have to show for it is a declining population? That's an L, Deuce. You got a little bit too much dip on your chip, I think, as you would say, Santana. It's what you're thinking this is really not what it is, and it's unfortunate. But I do think that Deuce was a primetime example of what white supremacy wants people to believe. Also, white people that are broke. The reason why you're broke is because of white supremacy.
White supremacy, literally.
Yep.
I'll say this. I'll land my plane with this. I find it fascinating. Fascinating. And this happens all the time. They would rather pay to be thumb thugs and keyboard warriors. They would literally rather pay to be cowards and say what they have to say than come over here, request up, and say it with their chest. That is fascinating. The amount of times that people send me super chat just to try to get off whatever they want to say instead of standing 10 toes down. They would rather spend their money to be cowards than to actually come and say it for free. It's mind blowing. I don't know. One more quick thank you, and then I'm going to come to Kay. W's in the chat for your silence. Your silence in a $50 YouTube super chat said, I'm a brown man who is proud of his Dominican and Puerto Rican culture, who identifies as Black, but in doing so, I'm faced with criticism. It's a struggle that I fight daily, but I know my history and I know my features, and I'll continue to fight every day. I know that's right, your silence. Thank you so much for not only $50 super chat, massive, a million W's for your silence for the $50 super chat, but understanding who you are and embracing who you are is super important. And I'm really happy to hear that you're doing that. And hopefully you'll be able to find more strength and courage in what you need here in our community, especially on late nights, and be able to continue to do that unapologetically. Being unapologetically Black and being proud of who you are is absolutely something that you should do. So W's in the chat. Thank you so much for that $50 super chat. All right, Kay, I want to give you the floor.
Good night or good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute, or good morning. It could be any time for anyone at this point in time. I want to take a moment because tonight's been extremely heavy, and there has been a lot of labor that has been given. And I want to directly speak to my folks that have been in the chat, causing a lot of just harm, either unintentional or intentional, doesn't matter. Late nights is a place for everyone. We want to have conversations. We want everyone to join, but we want you to look at the topics on the back, and we want you to be able to have something to actually contribute. If you are not secure in what you want to contribute to the conversation to help people learn, stay in the comments. There are too many times where people are requesting up and they may be at the beginning stages of their journal and their pen and their thoughts and maybe their first read. And so it's not the time to join the conversation. It's time to listen to folks that have way more knowledge. And I say this super respectfully because I know there are a lot of people who are in our community who want to be involved in the conversations, and this is absolutely like the place that we want you to, start learning and do all of that. But it was painfully obvious tonight that there were a lot of people who weren't ready to, be on the panel and contribute. And so as we move forward with like this series again, where we're going deeper into topics that we've covered in the 7-week series that we had earlier, or later last year and over the summer, please go back, rewatch the first 7 weeks. They're all available on YouTube. And we're getting into things that we want to be able to talk about, like next steps, how to combat the topics instead of just having to explain them all to people. So, you know, gently trying to ask that like everyone has a little self-awareness, and also like the amount of time and effort that Swan and Santana and so many of our wonderful panelists tonight have put in, to this topic. I just genuinely ask you to not kind of like spit in the face of that, because it's harmful, it's disrespectful, and they give so much time and so much knowledge. And we have resources. We have tools and resources, and if you need them and you're not in the Discord, you can always send me a DM. I will like get you set up. But please, I'm just asking, like, try to, if you notice that you keep requesting every night and you might get passed over, it's because we try to fit everybody in. So just a little bit of asking, for you to respect like the conversation where it's going. If you're hearing the conversation and you're like, "Ooh, this is a little bit much for me, I better listen in," don't hit the request button. That's all I'm asking. So, I appreciate everyone that's tuning in. I love late nights. It's the whole reason I found Santana, and I am so grateful, Swan, for your time and just the absolute wealth of knowledge you give us, freely, but it shouldn't be free. So if we could maybe get Swan at least over 6,000 coins before we leave and maybe hit her pay links a little bit more, I would greatly appreciate that. Just thank you very much from our community, and thank you for being part of it so much. And that's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think Swan Kay hit it on the head. I, while I do appreciate everybody wanting to be able to join, and I say this all the time, like, hey, this is a place where you can come and you can cut your teeth, and you can actually, if you ever want to do TikTok lives and you ever want to do da da da, like this is the place to do it. And while I absolutely want to ensure that people have the ability to do so, then but I think that it's super important to call out the fact that when coming up here, we want to ensure that you have the ability to hold the conversation. And so I know certain people at certain times you might be tempted to say like, oh, I want to join up because I want to really talk about this conversation. That's not always like how it goes. It's not always just to like, oh, I'm gonna be able to join to have that conversation. You have to make sure that when you get up here, like, hey, you bring it, because we want to make sure that we're having a cohesive conversation and have the ability to really serve the purpose that we're looking to serve here, which is educating and growing together. And so you gotta make sure that you have the ability to do so. And so I appreciate it, but sometimes, hey, sometimes you just gotta sit back and just hang out, and it's okay to learn from the comments. So there's that. Also, Swan, look at the screen. That's from management.
Oh my god, thank you. That's so cool.
She apparently didn't have like the mashup or whatever, and she wanted to send me, so she had me send that to you from her. So I just wanted, that wasn't from me, but that was from her, and she specifically picked what she wanted to send you. So anyway,
Thank you so much. W management. Thank you.
yeah. Swan, what else do you have for the people?
I would say I think that like because we like in my space we kind of we have people that are like opposition, so the conversation is very different in my space, and it attracts a lot of like very harmful people that we go back and forth with. But I think it's important for people to understand that there are spaces that function differently, and this space is really much more about learning. You will learn in my space, but through the tussle, but I think just like the while people are on this journey of learning more about racism, understand that it's not going to be an easy journey, right? Society is not going to give you the tools of how they're able to control people and how they are continuing to benefit from exploiting people. So there is a lot of confusion when it comes to trying to understand how racism and white supremacy works. But I think it's really important that people are just genuine with themselves. It's okay to say that you don't know something. There's no shame in that, okay? Now, listen, in my space, we get a lot of people that pretend like they know things. And when we expose that they don't, we tend to laugh at them and kind of clown them, but they earn that because of how harmful and problematic they are. But if you are truly on this journey and you're genuinely dedicated to deconstructing and educating yourself, it's not going to happen if you are looking to just be right. It is only going to happen when you can acknowledge the fact that there are things that you just don't know and that that's okay, right? Because again, saying that you don't know it's liberating. You then get to put yourself on the path to finding the information so that you can then move forward with the correct information as opposed to just being wrong. And understand that, again, when you're deconstructing for any person, for non-white people, this is deconstructing internalized racism. For white people, this is about deconstructing racism. You have to face yourself. The information that you take in is not going to stick, and you're not going to be able to apply it to society moving forward and how you interact with people and what you stand for and what you advocate for if you don't face yourself. That's important, right? And that should always be the first step. And I think that it's important too for people to find sources that are valid when they're trying to understand racism and white supremacy even more. So, also white people don't ask non-white people to labor for you. If you're a white person, ask another white person because they're going to understand your experiences and what your process of deconstructing will look like. For non-white people, there's a very different process. The outcome is different. So that's another thing that I think is important as well. Also, it's you asking a non-white person for labor. And I'll just put it this way so people can understand. Um, when a white person asks a non-white person to explain racism to them, number one, understand that we took it upon ourselves to educate ourselves, right? And that's how we got this information. And anybody's capable of doing that. People just kind of start glitching when it comes to racism. But also understand what you're telling them is, hey, teach me how to see the humanity in you, because I don't know how to see it. So I just want to say that again. When a white person is asking a non-white person to educate them on racism, what you're doing is saying to that person, hey, can you teach me how to see the humanity in you? Because I don't see it, right? Which can be quite triggering for people. So understand that you want to minimize the harm, that you could potentially cause to a person. So it's important to take that into consideration as well, if that makes sense. But yeah. That's all I got.
Absolutely. Guys, still 831 of us hanging out here. One last favor for the people in the chat. If you don't mind, just for me personally, please, can we get Swan over 10K coins? Like, I feel like we're right there. We're so close. We might as well do it. So can we show Swan just a little bit of love? Can we get her over 10K coins for the amount? Listen, I've leaned heavily on Swan tonight. Every time I turn to Swan, you want Swan, hey, Swan, you got the Swan. So please, guys, we're right there. Please show Swan some love. Let's get her over 10K coins. And speaking of love, W's in the chat for Brookie. Brookie sent a dollar donation to San. Appreciate you. Now I appreciate you more, Brookie. And W's in the chat for Gucci, who sent a $30 donation saying, please give Swan 15. I got you. And you said, you don't have Cash App. I understand. And y'all are amazing and doing such important work. I'm okay. Swan is amazing. And I'm just happy to be a catalyst for said work. So W's in the chat for Gucci. Thank you so much for that donation. And I definitely, like I said, will make sure that Swan gets that. And boom, that's what I'm talking about. W's in the chat. Not the Swan putting Swan over 10K. W's in the chat. W's in the chat. You guys are, well, Gucci, anybody can do it. All right, Swan. Are you going live? Faisal going live? What do we got? Who are we rating?
I am going to be going live. I'm not sure if Faisal's live. I have to double check, but I am actually going to be going live right now.
Okay. All right. Let's do this really quickly because last time you left, everybody was like, what's her at? And I said, why didn't you follow her before she left? Also, since you're right here, how long do you think it'll take until you're actually live?
Probably like, I don't know, like 5 minutes, somewhere around there.
Okay, because I was gonna
Less than
say
that.
if you can go live like kind of quickly, then I can hit a quick co-host and I can just it'll make easier for people just to transfer over versus like them trying to come and find you.
Yeah, I can do that right now.
Okay, all right, go ahead and I'll do the outro and then I'll start looking to try to co-host.
All right, sounds good. Drop me down. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of the CAs and all of the gifts. Thank you.
Yeah, I sent you'll see like multiple ones from me, and I tried to make sure that I said who they came from specifically so you could see it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Santana. And the chat, appreciate y'all as well.
W's in the chat for Swan. Yeah, I see that thing move. All right, guys. We are going to go ahead and get out of here, and I want to quickly call out. I know there's a ton of people that are in the request that have been in the request for the last couple of nights, and I have not gotten the opportunity to get them in here. What I want to say is I'm not ignoring you. I see you, and I promise you I will have you up tomorrow. Ever since we've made this shift from 3 hours to 2 hours, I've been trying to find balance. We're over 2 hours right now. I'm still trying to figure this out, and I promise you, I'm going to get not only the time down better, I'm going to get the flow down better. It's just a lot different. Instead of doing 3 hours, doing 2 hours, and so I'm trying to figure out how I get people in and out, how I get things going. So I give me this is only week 2 of getting back into late nights and with this new format. Give me just a little bit longer. I promise you guys I'm going to make it smoother. We're going to ensure that everyone gets to have their voices heard because it's so important to me to be able to have people to get a chance to get in here and join. But I promise you, I see you, because there's certain people who have been here all week trying to get in. And every time I look at the request, we got like 20 people trying to get in up here and join the conversation. So I promise you, I will get you guys in for sure. And so tomorrow, we are back and we are coming with the biggest point on the background, in my opinion, which is dismantling race. That's a big one. And I'm not gonna hold you guys. That's a big one. That's a big one. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about the possible implications of like what that would look like, how we could go about doing that, what type of actual impacts that would have on society. And so I will say for the people who are looking to join the conversation tomorrow, the one thing that I know, Roxy, right? The one thing that I say about like the last night of the week and late nights, it's always about solutions, right? So for anyone who's looking to join the conversation tomorrow, please, please, please be fully aware that if you get up on this panel, we're not talking about the problem anymore. We are looking for solutions. All right. So be prepared. If you get up here tomorrow, you better do your homework. Yeah, I expect people who come up here and say, listen, Santana, I've been thinking about it, and this is what we need to do. All right. Are we good with that? Does everyone understand the assignment? Anybody got questions? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you got questions. If you understand the assignment, give me a thumbs up or say okay, or you got it. Let me know that you understand the assignment for tomorrow. Everyone do your homework or else. All right. We got to figure this out. This is going to be a big one. I'm not going to hold you on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure this one out by myself. Normally I try to figure it out before I have these conversations, but tomorrow I'm going to lean on you guys. So we're going to figure it out together. All right. So we're going to check and see if Swan is live. Let's see here. Okay, she is. All right. We're going to do the outro and co-host at the same time with Swan. So we're going to do the outro and co-host at the same time. If Swan accepts that invite, I sent her an invite to co-host. But she has to accept. Somebody go tell Swan to accept the invite for the co-host. What you doing, Swan? What you doing, Swan? Not me. You know what? I'm gonna do this. Really, Swan? Ain't no way. Please text her, Chelsea. Swan take 255 years to go live. That's the crazy thing. Swan is always live, but it take her 255 years to go live, and after a reset, it take about 32 hours. Swan be like, all right, I'm gonna reset. We'll be back in 15 seconds. And she come back in like a half an hour. I thought time was a social construct for me. No Swan slander. No, I'm gonna talk about the way Swan go live. I'll be sitting there waiting too. She said 5 minutes to go live. It's been about 55 minutes. And Joanna, I don't know what you want me to do with that. Like I'm sitting here like I don't know. I sent the invite. I don't know what's going on. See.
I still see it. Oh yeah, I think it worked.
Ain't no way.
For some reason, I didn't see the request. I don't know why. That's weird.
I can finish because we're still on late nights. All right, guys. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do the outro at the same time as we send people over to you, Swan, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right, guys. So we're gonna hit that outro, but while we're hitting that outro, what I need you guys to do is tap the side of the screen where you see Swan, and when you tap the side of the screen, look, I'll show you. Don't even worry about it. I got you. Don't even worry about it. So you're gonna tap the side of the screen where you see Swan. Boom. Right. And then at the bottom, and at the bottom, it's gonna whatever. It's gonna say watch live, and you just click the watch live, and that'll jump over to Swan's live. So I want to see the numbers decreasing on our side. You'll still be able to hear the outro, but go ahead and get over. I'm gonna watch people jump over. So tap Swan's side of the screen and get over to Swan's live while we hit this outro.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights, truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams in the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pay, different cultures, but the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot, but we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Yeah. Late nights with Santana.
All right, guys. All right. For some reason, there's still 700 some people hanging out here over on my side. What I need you guys to do, we're going to do a direct Swan Santana raid over to Swan. So what I need you guys to do is click her side of the screen and go ahead at the bottom and click that watch live. Watch live. Go ahead and hit that watch live. We're going to go over Santana raid to Swan Space. Guys, when you get over there, do all the wonderful things, right? Tap the screen, share the live, send your daily heart me, knock out the gift goal, be active participants. I'm telling you, while late nights is really chill and I enjoy it, I'm telling you, Swan is about to get active. You do not want to miss it. So all you have to do is tap the side of the screen where you see Swan's profile and click over to where it says watch live. Do it right now. I'm seeing the numbers drop, but they're not dropping fast enough. There's still like 600 something people here. Click the side of the screen. All you gotta do is, I've already shown you how to do it. What are we doing? I've already showed you how to do it. Just click the side of the screen where you see Swan. I'm even already over there in my backup, and that's where I'm going as soon as I end the live. I'm going over to Swan's live. I'm going over to Swan live. So if you guys want to see Swan cook, If you guys want to see Swan work, get over there. Get over there. Get over there. All right. We're going to wrap it up here. Make sure you guys get over to Swan's Live. If you want to hang out, I'm going to be hanging out there all night. That's where I'll be. Guys, thank you for everything. Thank you for all the gifts, the taps, the likes, the shares. Thank you all for being absolutely amazing. Thank you for being here with us this evening. Swan, thank you for being an amazing co-host. We will do this again tomorrow night.
Of course.
I know that's right, Swan. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back. I love you guys. And as always, peace.
Thank you, Santana. W Santana Raid. Also, W Faisal's African Invasion Raid. I appreciate y'all as well. I'm just going to reset the gift goal real quick, but everybody keep tapping the screen, keep sharing.